Hello there, my name is Lamin Njie, and this is The Nation Today. Thank you for joining me on my show today. Well, President Adama Barrow's political advisor, deputy political advisor, that is Dusano, is describing UDP members as weaverbats. We have a report on that, but also Voice Achievers Award to be held in the Gambia. This year's edition will take place in the Gambia. They have been holding a press conference, officials of that award there. 3-day workshop on ELMIS implementation also is on the way. SWECO qualifying round games continue. Tonight I'll be speaking to the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority. These past days has seen a lot of talk really around the sniper insecticide, but also we'll talk also discussing other issues that has to do with food safety and quality in the country. But before all of that, thank you. First of all, let's begin with my take for tonight. Now I'll be speaking about the issue of fertilizer. Really, there's also been a lot of talk around fertilizer in the country since it emerged that the bag or a bag of fertilizer this year will be sold at $2,500, a marked departure from the last year price of $750 or $700. Really, the government, there's been a lot of criticism directed at the government, but we've seen the government intervene in terms of reducing that. Today, a statement was issued by the government through spokesperson Ibrahima G. Sankare announcing a reduction from $2,500 to $2,000. I know this is something, since we reported this, there's been some reaction from members of the public really that this is not enough. It's still expensive, but then also the government has done a lot in terms of subsidizing. We've seen the government spokesperson describing it as the heavy subsidization of fertilizer. But there is also another issue, one issue that we need to talk about, that has to do with the issue of people reselling this fertilizer. Government investigated and they were made to understand that some people, claiming to be farmers, bought fertilizer and then at $700 and then later on sold it at a higher price outside the Gambia. And the government is warning that this year's fertilizer should be used by the farmers because this is about their future and they should not play with that. They should not take this fertilizer and send it outside to sell it there. That will be it for my take tonight. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Now, current affairs. We'll begin with the president's deputy political advisor there, Dusano, who was addressing NPP faithful in Kombo East, the village of Amdalai, over the weekend, where he verbally attacked members of the UDP, describing them as weaverbats. More in this report by Modu Baji.
The political advisor to the president, Honorable Dusano, informed the people of Amdalai village that the president has many projects for their region, noting that plans are underway to extend the electricity project into some areas. The president's political aide urged the people of Amdalai to stop listening to the UDP, whom he described as weaverbirds.
President Adama Barrow and his government have laid down plans to supply electricity to 700 communities in the country, and efforts are underway. A native of Kombo East is part of the project. The president believes in action, not talking, but the family weaver birds will continue making noise, and those are the United Democratic Party members. With their knowledge, all they do is destruction.
Yes, the president's political lieutenant added that the UDP National Assembly members cannot bring any meaningful development to their various communities, as those NAMs did not have what it takes to propel the development of their communities. For Star TV, I am Modu Baji.
Now, the international magazine, The Voice magazine, will hold its annual Achievers Award, this time in the Gambia. Officials of the award or the magazine have been talking to reporters, as Jacqueline Colley reports.
The awards are scheduled to take place in August 2022. The three-day event called the Gambia Voice Business Summit and Awards will be held at the Sadauda Kereba Jawara Conference Center. The event, according to the editor-in-chief of The Voice magazine, Pastor Elvis Iru, the award is designed to recognize men and women, both old and young, businesses and charitable organizations that are putting Africa on the map.
But in 2012, we decided to introduce what we now call the Voice Achievers Award. And this award is to recognize men, women, young people, businesses, organizations, charity works that are contributing to the advancement of Africa.
The awards have been consecutively held for 9 years in Amsterdam, where people from the diaspora meet and connect. Pastor Elvis said since the award was designed to recognize Africans and their efforts, they decided to bring the event to African soil. The First Lady of the Gambia, Fatimata Barrow, was recognized in the Voice Achievers Awards in Dubai 2021, after which she suggested the event be hosted in Africa, and she invited them over to the Gambia.
Tell you that we have received a lot of nominations across the world. So people are going to be coming from outside to be recognized in the Gambia. But we also have decided this year that we are going to be recognizing Gambians themselves who are contributing to the advancement of the country. And I can confirm two names to you because you are media people and I know you are curious. We're going to be recognizing the First Lady of Sierra Leone here. Already our letter has been sent to her. She has acknowledged it. I met her just about over a week ago when she was here to receive her doctorate. And we are going to recognize our President, His Excellency, President Adama Barrow, as icon of democracy for his effort to preserve the Gambia and keep it together after the challenges of changing power that you all witnessed.
Pastor Elvis highlighted that this event will be an important one for the Gambia as it will bring in investors and charitable donations to charity organizations and also support the government of the Gambia to promote the Gambia and its resources. Meanwhile, the three-day summit and awards expect over 150 diasporans to attend and about 45 awards are to be given out, including Gambian people and their businesses. Jacqueline Coley for Star TV News.
Now, there's a phenomenon that has to do with the abuse of the social media, really. There's a growing trend of people abusing the social media or online. Our Sane has been looking at how people really abuse social media these days.
It is defined by the National Domestic Violence Hotline as the use of technologies such as texting and social media networking to bully, harass, and intimidate a partner. Often this behavior is a form of verbal and emotional abuse perpetrated online. However, despite its negative impacts, it positively impacts business personnel in promoting their businesses. Fatou Kamara, the CEO of a Gambian-made store and products, explains the benefits of social media on her business.
Social media has really impacted my business in so many ways. If you look at it, you will see that social media is one of the biggest marketing strategies in the world. So I use it to market my products. And also personally, I use it as a learning avenue. I go through a lot of profiles, especially those of that are into business. And I try to inculcate that in my business in a very innovative way.
Social media enables some to communicate and stay up to date with family and friends around the world. When new friends and communities network with other people who share similar interests or ambitions, join or promote worthwhile causes, raise awareness on important issues. Here is Fatou again.
And also today, I would say I do receive a lot of calls from different people across the world, especially in the Gambia, people that saw my products on social media. They took my number and called to order for either the services that I provide or for the products that we are selling.
Social media is a great way to connect with people who you may not see all the time. It also helps to build connection with people who have the same interests. Meanwhile, other benefits of social media include increasing brand activity, generating online traffic, staying alive, better conversation rates, includes increasing brand loyalty, partnering up with influencers, and selectively advertising. Individuals may be experiencing abuse, sending negative, insulting, or even threatening emails and DMs. Social media can often harm one's mental health. It can cause depression, anxiety, and can lower self-esteem. For Star TV News, I am Awasane.
Now, the Directorate of National Pharmaceutical Services at the Ministry of Health, with funding from the Global Fund and World Bank, on Tuesday commenced a 3-day workshop on digitalizing the logistics management information system into LMIS at the Paradise Suites Hotel there in Kololi. Omar Job reports.
A team of experts tasked to develop this system are in the country to share with stakeholders the work they did and as well seek the input of stakeholders towards this development. The objective of this workshop is to review the current LMIS systems paper-based and electronic system, LMIS system orientation, to validate the initial system setup if it meets the in-country LMSI settings, and confirmation of the phase 1 implementation after the whole system review phased approach to adding health programs to the LMSI. Given his opening remarks, on behalf of the Health Minister, Lamin Njie, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, thanked the World Bank and Global Fund for their relentless support. As he described the workshop as significant to the ministry, he noted that the health sector have been keeping its logistic on manual, and LMIS implementation will boost the health ministry's drive towards greater efficiency and quality service delivery, as he termed the workshop timely.
Today, we take pleasure on behalf of the Honorable Minister to be present here to open a very important workshop which marks the beginning and a very important step in the Ministry of Health's drive towards greater efficiency, towards ensuring greater accountability and quality service delivery. You will all also bear with me that since time immemorial, the ministry has been maintaining its logistics information system partially manual.
Babandin Sabali, the Director of Pharmaceutical Service at the Ministry of Health, noted that it has been a challenge for the health sector for what system to adopt so to address data quality issues in the country, especially logistic management.
For the past years, we've been struggling as what system to adopt so as to address our data quality issue in this country, more especially logistic management information data. We came to the realization that we need to have an electronic version that will connect from end to end. We put our brain together and came up with a proposal, and we sold this to our partners. And thank God, our partners gracefully accepted it, and they are ready to fund it. Here we are today to sensitize our partners, stakeholders, and the senior management team of the ministry as how we are going to implement this very important project in this country.
Director Sabel highlighted that as the Health Ministry is about to start electric management information, the ministry is hopeful that it will revolutionize their way of doing their business, as they far overcrowd lack of a system where the ministry will visualize from central medical store to the last piece of the country. Deborah Asenti Luisa, Fund Portfolio Manager, Global Fund, and Dr. Samuel Mills, Health Tax Team Leader of World Bank, both reassured their office's commitment and continued support for the success of the initiative.
Global Fund Portfolio Manager, Dr. Samuel Mills, the World Bank Tax Team Leader, the Director of Health Services, Dr. Mustafa Bitey, the the Director, National Pharmaceutical Services, Mr. Babanding Sabali, the CCM Chair here present, the Project Coordinator, PCU.
I want to say a big thank you to the Global Fund for being persistent throughout the COVID period. Although they were not here, discussions were ongoing, and eventually JSI was competitively selected to establish the system. I also want to take this singular opportunity to thank the Ministry of Health for embarking on this transformative journey.
For Star TV, this is Omar Joe.
Let's now look at some sport news there, still on current affairs. Serekunda West qualifying round games continue at the Serekunda West Mini Stadium. Our sport reporter, Baikor, tells us more.
Tuesday, 14 June, saw a well-contested derby game on the ongoing qualifying rounds at Serekunda West football field between Celtic and Benakunda. Both teams come from Latrikunda, Iringanya. Both teams started the game with lots of energy to impress their fans, as Celtic mounted pressure on their opponents but could not find the back of the net. Few minutes later, Benakunda came into the game and created few chances but failed to utilize them. The first half ended goalless. Coming into the second half, after the 53rd minute of the game, Celtic number 10, Alaji Musa, gave a world-class pass to Celtic number 15, Hassan Sisi, who wasted no time after collecting the ball and dribbled past two defenders before tapping the ball into the net to give Celtic the lead. However, Benakunda introduced substitutes to mount pressure on the Celtic team for an equalizer, but the Celtic backline was well organized to defend their lead. Benakunda come close in the stoppage time to search for an equalizer, but unfortunately it was a hard luck for them. The game ended 1 in favor of Celtic. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Baikor.
Thank you and welcome back. So tonight I'll be speaking to the food boss in the country. He's the boss of food in the Gambia, well, the Food Safety and Quality Authority, Mamadou Ba. He joins me now. We are talking about the sniper agrochemical, really. There's been a lot of talk around it that people that are engaged or vendors that are into smoked fish and dried fish are using this deadly agrochemical. We are going to talk about that and other matters regarding food safety and quality in the Gambia. Mr. Bah, thank you very much for joining me on the show tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lamin. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
So there's been panic really when it emerged, or the issue of sniper being used by vendors, fish smokers, but also dried fish vendors. I know earlier this month you indicated or stated that you have swung into action in terms of investigating. What have you uncovered?
We still haven't, because what we have to uncover would be based on fact, based on evidence, hard scientific evidence, before we say, you know, this is the reality or this is the fact. But yes, I think the panic started with us when we get to know about the rumor. Actually, I must confess, I also panicked, like everybody, knowing the toxicities of this pesticide, the chlorophyll, and it was something that is alarming, and as a result we had to really, the first step was to reach out to the public and try to, you know, do some damage control, which was really, really necessary at the time.
But are you saying you have not been able to establish or get evidence that indeed the women have been using this dangerous chemical?
You know, Lamin, sometimes, you know, when the rumor is out there, by the time you really react and get to the information, most of the people, even if it's there, even if they are using it, you know, they will definitely hide it. They will actually deny it, and so the only way you can really verify, which we are That's the approach that we are taking, is to verify, and the verification will require even laboratory testing of the fish, sampling and testing of the fish, which we have also in the process of doing to establish the fact. Because even if they deny it, and if it is there, they have been doing it, then it will appear in the results. And of course, they may not be doing or using sniper per se, but they might be using another pesticide, palmithrin or deltamethrin or some other pesticide to rid off the flies and the maggots and so on. But because the sniper was the hype, so they might just deny, say we don't use sniper, but are they using something else? That's another question that we'll also have to include in the investigation. We are not only stopping at looking at sniper per se, but we are also looking at other common pesticides that can be used in order to rid off flies and so on.
So how fast are you doing this investigation? Because really, even market women, people who know these fish smokers and dry fish vendors or dried fish vendors would tell you that indeed the women use this. I mean, just 2 days ago, I was able to confirm from a market vendor that when it comes to the dried fish, it is imported from Casamas in Kafountine, and the women there would dip this fish into diluted sniper and then dry it, and this is what they will send to Gambia.
Well, if the practice is done, then that's a news item to me, because you are telling me it's not done in the Gambia, but it's practiced elsewhere.
In terms of imported dried fish.
And then brought to the Gambia. So, and I think that will require a new dimension. But for us, we were investigating the Gambia as a country, because that's where our legal purview lies. Of course, it doesn't mean that we don't have collaboration with the Senegalese authorities. We will also then, since it's a rumor, it's not established, we will ask them maybe perhaps to establish it, going to those markets, and so that they verify that this is not being practiced in Senegal. But as far as Gambia is concerned, we have been to all the fish landing sites, and we have been to various markets where is majority of the fish is being sold, and then we have collected samples, and these samples are currently being sent for analysis. And like I said, this analysis, until the results come out, we cannot say whether definitely is a widely used practice or not in the Gambia.
So in terms of the preparedness of your authority, I've seen people raise doubt over that, because the vendors are continuing with their business, although you have a lot of Gambians or a lot of people, citizens, who really do not want to come anywhere close to smoked fish and then dried fish. But in terms of the preparedness, do you have the equipment, but also toxicologists? Because you need experts who really understand what we are dealing with.
Well, I think the expertise is not lacking. I mean,
you have toxicologists.
Yeah, we have one of our guys doing toxicology in Sweden, and we have been in contact with him. And we have been in contact with a lot of experts in this, not only within food safety, but even outside the food safety. The approach that we used was a multi-sectoral approach, and we had stakeholders that are key to this, and that is the Environment Agency, the Fisheries Department, Public Health Directorate, and the Codex Committee, and of course we invited some experts that have been, dealing with pesticides for a long time from FAO, and also we had experts who are retired veterans, whom we invited to give in their input on this, because we wanted it really to get to the bottom of this, and so that they can also share their experiences and their knowledge of the use of pesticides in food in general.
So your investigation, do you have a multi-sectoral task force, or you are doing this investigation independently?
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Excuse me. We have a multi-sectoral task force comprising of these sectors that I've mentioned, the NEA, FSQA, and Directorate of Public Health and Fisheries. So we had teams, and excuse me. So these teams actually were the ones that did this investigation. And then, they came and devised their methodology of sampling, methodology of questionnaire, and what are they going to really look for, and how they are going to able to collect evidences where there are, and of course, do the report writing and etc. And so also, even when we collect the sample, where to store the sample, and how to fly the sample out of the Gambia for analysis. So, and the logistics involved in this, and the entire cost for the investigation, we had to do all of that. We shared all the responsibilities.
I know people reacted variously and differently to this issue. You have some people saying in fact the death rate in this country is attributable to what we eat, what we consume as citizens. Would you say that this argument is in place, or is a little extreme?
No, for me, I'm not supposed to be denying rumors. I'm not supposed to be dispelling rumors, because every rumor to us is a concern, and particularly when it comes to the food, the safety of the food and the quality of the food. Our role would be to really, without any reservations, get to the bottom of it and investigate it thoroughly, and like I said, come up with scientific evidence to back it. So that's why we are established. We are not established on rumor or hearsay or assumption. So I think whatever we are trying to give to the public would be credible. It has to have it would be with integrity, and of course that's why we cannot come out publicly and say this is true or untrue. We have to have the evidence to back it.
Okay, I know the food fortification law or regulations of 2019, where 2020 was launched in 2021. That was last year. So, in terms of the achievement of your authority, what achievement have you returned in terms of, let's say, prosecution? I mean, finding culprits, people who are into the business of bad food, really being prosecuted.
Lamin, I'll do straight talking with you. Prosecution is a very difficult process in the Gambia. There are so many challenges in prosecution, and I'll give you just one case of a Mauritanian who was arrested in November, last year, November, and because they were sorting these onions, bad onions, and trying to sell it, bag it and sell it to the public again, using women, in fact, to do that. And then he was arrested, even with a lot of reluctance from the enforcement, and then eventually we got him arrested, we got him, arraigned in court. But up to date, that prosecution has not taken place.
Do you have an effective legal unit?
Yeah, we do.
What is keeping that case?
No, but it's not for us, it's for we hand over our cases to the litigation department of the police. So it's the prosecution unit of the police that is supposed, and the court system, that's supposed to facilitate these cases. So, and in fact,
have you brought this to the attention of the government, the central government?
Yeah, we have brought it to the attention of responsible authorities, I would say, because government is very wide. So at least the responsible authorities have been informed. And the other thing is that litigation is the last resort of enforcement, because Gambians would quickly jump and prosecute, not knowing there is prosecution that has got a lot of technicalities. You have to really prepare your case watertight, and these people, they also have legal rights, so, and they can of course get legal representation, and these people are seasoned lawyers that can just punch holes into your case and throw it out if it is not very well presented in a court of law. Now, so that is why there are other processes that the law has allowed us to do as a form of punishment and deterrent, and also so that this can be in the form of confiscation, this can be in the form of fines, this can be also in the form of clauses. So, and I think these are quite effective, and we have been using them very effectively, and we're getting to the desired effect. I will give you one example, which is the closure of the Brikama market. It was a bold initiative, but the moment we succeeded in closing the Brikama market, fish market, let me not say the market, the fish market, the fish
yes.
plant, yes. There was significant progress made, and and the authorities responsible actually took rapid and swift action to address our concerns, and and we are very much pleased with the outcome. So, and then once they meet, and it's a monitoring thing, it's a work in progress. But this is happening not only with the market. We do closures, we do fines, we do confiscations, and we do also what we call verbal warnings, and of course we also give improvement notices with warning, so that these people are given time to do 1, 2, and 3, so that at least they will achieve what we call conformity and compliance.
So I know there are a lot of examples. I asked you about this issue. There was also one issue where a business was asked to pay a fine instead of being taken to court. The person or the business was into expired rice earlier this year. The issue of expired rice being rebagged and distributed.
No, actually, we wouldn't say expired rice. The rice per se wasn't expired. Usually what happens is during shipment, the rice at the bottom of the vessel sometimes get wet and caked. And, and some businesses, in order to maximize profit, what they do is they try to take that rice and sort it and rebag it, and then sell it. That's the better part. But what we are saying is that no business should do that without the authorities' authorization. You understand?
Approval. That will be criminal.
Approval. For that is what was happening. So then they went and they were rebagging, and they were sorting and rebagging without our approval. So, and as a result, when we find out and we looked at the quality of the rice and everything else, that's why we decided to shut down the warehouse in question. So, and after shutting down the warehouse, we also slammed them a fine for doing that. And in addition to that, we confiscated, all the bad rice, and so that we disposed it later. So this is all necessary to prevent people from accessing this kind of bad quality rice.
Also, there was also one business, a restaurant that was shut, that was asked to close business due to the hygiene situation at where they prepare their food. Maggots everywhere. It was bad. The pictures were all over the internet, and you ordered its closure. But all of a sudden, it was allowed to operate again. What happened with that case?
Yeah, but Lamin, go back to that restaurant and see for yourself and compare then and now. And we have been monitoring, because again, our existence is not just to punish and to be a deterrent and to be a problem for businesses. We are supposed to support businesses, in addition to making them comply to standards and best practice. Our responsibility is also to reach out to them and support them and make sure that they conform and they comply. Now, how do we do that? It's by engaging them and giving them all the relevant guidance to get there. So, and I think even where we close you, or where we do an enforcement exercise on any business, we follow up closely, to make sure that at least we guide you adequately, so that what we want to achieve, which is to conform to standards, to comply with the regulations and the laws of the Gambia, we guide you accordingly. And eventually, you get there.
Let's talk generally then. You have a lot of a proliferation of restaurants in this country. Myself, I go to a restaurant. I mostly eat outside. I eat, I will order my food. Food comes to me. It's just the food that I will see. But where it is prepared, I don't know what is inside there. I don't know the situation, the condition in terms of the hygiene. I mean, do your officers go to these restaurants every now and then to surprise them, to go and then abruptly appear there and then check the situation in these food preparation rooms, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned just one restaurant, and I think I just used my assumption that we are referring to that particular famous restaurant.
Yes.
But there are other restaurants that we have really closed.
Generally, yes.
You know, generally there are lots of restaurants that we have closed for some time and allowed them and supported them to really improve. And there are, some of them really surprised us by, you know, some of them now even installed air conditioning, they improved all the they're insect proof, and you know, you go there, it's very decent and you can eat, you know. And where the kitchen is, you know, we monitor, we look at the food flow pattern of the restaurant, from where it is prepared to where it is dished out. So, and of course, where we have non-conformities, those are the things that we address by, you know, guiding and then giving you improvement notices, telling you exactly what to do. Because some of them really, they don't know. You know, it's not about they don't want to comply, but really they're just being naive. And it's our responsibility also to raise their awareness and to educate them and to give them all the necessary wherewithal to conform to standards.
Let's also talk about the smaller petty vendors, food vendors. There was a time, the last year or so, when COVID came and all of that, all vendors were asked, that's the petty vendors, were asked to sell their food in cases, in closed cases, protected cases. But over the period, what we have seen is that this food, you find them very open, in open spaces. This is where, and the hygiene condition of this food is not really telling. Have you been monitoring that?
Actually, Lamin, I must admit, part of the challenge of the food safety is the proliferation of street food vendors. You know, and then we really have to study them very closely, because, you know, there are those that are just temporary. You know, they just take out a plate of food in the evening and
then put it in the gate.
Put them at their gate,
yes,
at their compound gate, and trying to get fish money.
Yes.
You know, so some of them is not exposed food, because mostly it's fruits and some nuts and something, and the other ones that are selling these ebes, for example, you know, which are the afras and the ebes are my main concern. And of course, some of them that are selling these sandwiches. Sometimes I feel that perhaps they have leftovers, and that is very difficult to monitor, Lamin. Somebody would sell and go home with leftovers. That is something really difficult for the food safety to know, to track and know. So, and then if they happen to reheat these leftovers in the morning and come back and resell it, I think that's where my real worry is. And again, you know, some of them don't actually have ill intentions or, you know, devilish intentions to harm people, but again, it's just lack of understanding of the risk factors involved in doing certain practices that they are doing, and we are engaging them. We are rolling out and sensitizing a lot of the street vendors. And not only limiting it to Greater Banjul area. We've done Basse, we've done Soma, we've done Farafenye, we've done Essew. And then, you know, in order to address all of these, we are now even posting officers in strategic locations. Like, for example, now we have one in Essew Bara. We have now one not at the border in Farafenye, but inside Farafenye itself, looking after the food safety issues and in Farafenye, and risk factors in Farafenye. We also have one that we are also posting in strategic locations, for example, in Wasu, in Birkamaba, and then in Fatoto, you know, that is for the URR. And we are even thinking of getting one in Sarengai. so that at least we are covering as much of the country as possible and not just limiting it to Greater Banjul area.
Let's also talk about one thing that I also find very um, interesting: the issue of newspapers, imported newspapers. I mean, Gambia is a dumping ground when it comes to all these old newspapers. We used to work in the newspaper sector, and sometimes these newspapers would be packed. You archive these newspapers in the store for years, many years, and these are the newspapers that they send to Africa. And this is the newspapers that all these shops would buy to wrap food in. And really, this has been there since, I mean, I don't even know how long. Are you also looking into that in terms of checking how safe these newspapers are?
Lamin, I think that's one of the first things that I did when I took over, was to look at these the risk factors of potential risk factors of newspapers. And again, in it, we even have an article on it, the potential, risks factors of using newspapers. But our main target was certain newspapers, and particularly the cement newspapers, because the cement contains some toxicities, and these, when consumed, can have
health.
Yeah, so we have
consequences.
Some consequences, implications in health implications, and that is what we were actually targeting. And we did a lot of enlightening or sensitization on the use of newspaper, and we even imposed a ban on the use of these newspapers. If you look at these newspapers, they are mostly for packaging. That's what they are used for. People that are moving, people that are packaging stuff to take, that are the fragile stuff, they use these old newspapers to cushion them. But here in the Gambia, unfortunately, we are taking these newspapers from foreign countries and use it to wrap our food. And the other thing we looked at was, most of these things, when they are being shipped, in the shipment, they get fumigated. Meaning there is use of pesticides, on the newspapers. So even though those pesticides, after a while, they will disintegrate, and then they will not be there anymore. Or even if they are exposed to sunlight, they will eventually disappear. I don't think that would be a problem, because they take a long time to come to the Gambia. Now, the other thing that we are worried about was the ink. The types of inks that were being used, the type of chemicals perhaps that these papers may contain, and then when we looked at it, it was not very much on high risk. It was low. It was low risk. It wasn't very high risk. The high risk was on the cement, because this cement.
But not the newspapers.
The newspapers were lesser risk than the cement, because this cement is, they have not been over time. They just finished from the construction sites, and then people pack them and go and give them to the women. We are not importing cement papers. We are importing cement, and the cement that is the wrapping of this cement, once it's from the construction site, it comes to the market and into food, in contact with the food. I think the ingredients are highly active at that time, so that was the main worry. However, when we try to implement the ban, we cannot just ban something without having an alternative in place. We approach the Chamber of Commerce. We approach some food businesses so that they would to generate some interest in importing food grade wrapping, which is food grade paper. We even encourage them to invest in food packaging companies or factories in the Gambia, so that we will not have this problem, because we'll have ease of access, and it will be available, and it would be affordable. Because the moment you have not addressed these three factors, people will still go about clandestinely and use other means of wrapping food that are even more detrimental to human health.
Also, let's also talk about water. I know water is also a problem. In terms of, you go to certain communities, I did an investigation in a community in Jamweli, the Manduar Jamweli. You see the water that they use to drink is bad, it's terrible. Are you also looking into the issue of water? This is not water that comes from Nawek, but this is water that comes from a well. Do you do your work around water?
Let me tell you two things. I mean, the color of the water doesn't make the water terrible or extremely dangerous. You know, water can be colored by.
If it is red, it can be drinkable.
Yeah, water can be colored and drinkable. You know, because even in Europe, you know, we flavor water, and then it changes its color and it's sold in bottles. But then there are, I have been in water and sanitation before. There are certain water tables. You know, they have the soil is rich in iron, for example. You know, and iron, of course, gives a reddish color. So, you know, when you have the water and you see it can be reddish, it can be, maybe it's just the iron content is high, or some water can have the copper content is a bit high and it turns like greenish or bluish. You know, this is all possible. I'm not saying that the water is good or bad, but again, you know, for us, we cannot say any food is good or bad unless we have the, you know, scientific and hard evidence for it. That means you have to take the water sample and you have to test it for certain electrolytes and for metals and for other things. Now, and even for the pH in terms of acidity and alkalinity. Now, also, this water, you know, these are public water. Usually, we are targeting businesses. We are not targeting, you know, community. What's called wells or boreholes or something. However, you know, it is our interest to make sure and to ensure that the water that is being drunk in this country is safe. That's why we went into an agreement with Pura, because they are regulating water from Nawek and from certain boreholes. So now that we are trying to be the testing authority, so that at least the water that is being drawn, so we will be in a position now to go to communities and even this Nawek water to test it for them, so that at least we will establish really the factual quality and safety of our Gambian water. But so far, analysis of Gambian water has proven Gambian water to be really safe. In fact, far safer than most countries when it comes to our quality and our safety of our water.
Dijiba, thank you for your time. Thank you for appearing on the show. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You were already home. I had to bring you outside. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
So that is Mamadou Ba. He is the Director General of the Food Safety and Quality Authority. He was my guest for tonight. That will be it for the show tonight. I will see you on Saturday. Until then, goodbye from me.